Good morning, Kymia.
Good morning.
My apologies for the time mistake.
Oh, no worries.
Thank you for your grace. I have, as you can imagine, several of these scheduled, and sometimes I confuse
Mm-hmm.
myself. So I thank you for your grace. Okay, so we are going to jump right in. Let me turn my camera on. And I have reviewed your lesson plan along with your links to the supplemental
Hmm.
materials that you have provided. And so this is just an opportunity for you to talk me through what you have planned. Want to hear about your students, give me context of the classroom that I'll visit and
Yes.
what I can expect. So I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, so the class that you're going to be observing is our seventh period class at the end of the day.
Mhm.
That class has about 28 students in it.
Okay.
Um, and so how MBA organizes their classes, they organize each class into on grade level, approaching grade level, and below grade level.
Okay.
So this seventh period class is considered the approaching grade level group. Mhm. So, over the past few weeks, these eighth graders have been working on linear equations. So solving linear equations, writing linear equations, graphing them, finding the solution. So now this lesson is going to build on top of that to where they're not just looking at one equation at a time. They're looking at a system of them, so two at a time. And so my whole goal is for them to kind of discover the solutions, like discover that like the solutions to the system is the point where they intersect and where the equations are equal, rather than me just telling it to them. So I'm gonna give them like a problem, a contextual problem, and they're gonna kind of have to work through it together in their groups, and then they're gonna come to that conclusion on their own. 'Cause I think they just do a little bit better with like the real world context problems.
Right, right, right.
Some of them do good with like direct instruction, but I think a lot of them do better when they're able to like connect it to something that they're familiar with. So like last week we did I did a problem around like how fast a person's hair is growing. And so then they responded really well to that. And so I brought it back for this one to teach them the system of equations. So yeah, so my main goal is just for them to recognize that the solution to a system is where both equations are true at the same time. And to be able to identify the solution by looking at the graph, and then also to be able to analyze the system and determine whether or not it has one solution, no solution, or infinitely many solutions. So they're going to start by doing this activity called Which One Doesn't Belong.
Yeah.
So they're gonna have to analyze the four different graphs, and they're gonna have to argue their case on why they think the graph they chose doesn't match with the other three. And so I think I'm excited about this activity personally because like a lot of them are used to like everything having one exact answer. And so I think I'm excited to see how they're going to respond to this activity when there's no one right answer and they're having to really explain using precise language and
Mm.
having to really articulate what they're thinking and really state their claim as to why they think their answer is right. So I'm excited for that one.
Okay.
And then they're going to move into doing the activities we have planned. So they're going to start with the hair growth task, comparing how fast both person's hair is growing. And then they're going to have to work with their group, collaborate with one another, write the equation. Um, I think they're going to have to determine whose hair is longer after 3 months is what I put, and then determine if there's ever a time when both of their hair would be the same length. And so I really they're gonna be able to work on those first problems alone in their group. And the third problem is really for me to see how they would even approach finding when those two equations would be the same. And so then once we get through that activity, we have another one that's like it, but now we're doing babysitting.
Uh-huh.
And so what I want them to recognize here is that like the two equations have the same slope. So they're parallel, so they would never intersect, therefore there's no solution. And then once we go through that, then we're going to see one where there's infinitely many solutions. So hopefully that they're seeing that for each one, how the graph is looking, how the equations look, and they're able to recognize, oh, these two equations either have the same slope, or maybe these two equations are the same, therefore there's infinitely many solutions. And so to close the lesson, we're going to do an exit ticket that directly assesses each of the objectives that I had planned. So they're having to explain in their own words why. The intersection of the two lines on the graph is a solution to the equation. And then also having to analyze three different systems to identify how
Yeah.
many solutions each one has. So
Okay, I see that. Yeah. So a couple questions. A great job of explaining that it aligned. I mean, your lesson plan was very thorough and detailed, so I really got a clear picture of what to expect. So your explanations align with that very well. I have a question about the vocabulary. So this is an intro lesson for them, right? This is the first time they've dealt with systems.
so my mentor teacher said she was going to kind of do a kind of an intro to it on Monday, and then I'm going to kind of
Oh,
supplement it with this one.
okay, okay. I was thinking about the vocabulary and if they want, because you mentioned that they should be able to explain it using precise language, and I was wondering at
Hmm.
what point had they been introduced to the academic terms that they need to use in terms of like infinite and many solutions. But if there's an intro
Yes.
set up to this, and that's then I can see that happening. So that's great. So you said
Yeah.
that this class is designed for those students that are approaching mastery. Is that how you coined it?
Yeah. Approaching grade level.
Grade level.
Hmm.
Okay. So are there any needs for accommodations, differentiation within this group of students?
So for this class, there aren't any students who are on an IEP or 504 or anything like that.
Okay.
There's none of that in this classroom.
Okay.
But a lot of them, what I've noticed, a lot of them learn a bit differently. So by incorporating the different visuals that we're doing,
Okay.
like with the graphs, and then they're also when they're working in their groups, a lot of them are going to probably use a table. So just opening up, using tasks to where they can kind of approach it in different ways, or solve it in their own ways, and that they can use their own learning style to approach each task.
Okay. And so when they're working in groups, right, and
Mhm.
they're approaching the task, and I'm sure I think I saw this that you're going to circle around, you're going to circulate, you're listening to what they're saying, you're assessing
Yes.
that way. How can you determine what individual students know and understand?
So how I normally circulate is if I'm walking around the classroom, if I notice that one student in the group is doing most of the work, I'm going to ask the other students, okay, what is this person doing to see if they're also understanding what this student is doing and if they're also understanding what the task is asking, if they're understanding how to go about it and approach solving the task as well.
Okay. Okay. Um, so what would mastery look like for at the end of this lesson?
Okay, so mastery would look like they're able to explain, okay, this point on the graph is the solution because if I were to, because this point satisfies both equations at the same time. They can explain that accurately, and then they're also able to look at a system of equations, identify different features. They could identify the slope, identify the slope, or maybe the intercept to help them determine whether or not it has no solutions or just one or infinitely many.
Okay. Okay. And so the way that you will assess, or the mechanism that you will use to assess is the exit ticket. So you're going to collect
Yeah.
those at the end of the
Yeah.
lesson. Okay.
Hmm.
And that's how you will assess each individual each
Yes.
individual student. However, throughout the lesson, you're circulating, you're listening, you're asking questions, and like you said, if you notice that one particular student is dominating the conversation or the work, then you will pose questions to the other group members. Okay. Um, Let me just give it one more glance over. Let me look at my notes here. Okay. Okay. All right. I don't have any more questions. I love the contextual word problems. I can see students get engaged with that, especially with the hair growth. And I was glad to hear you say you tried it again you tried it last week and you implemented it again because it
Hmm.
was successful. So I can definitely see students getting engaged with that. Your lesson plan again, very thorough, detailed. All components are present. It aligns with your PowerPoint, and I saw the worksheet that you also included. So, well done. I don't have any other
Thank you.
questions. Actually, this Friday crew that I'm meeting with, you all are knocking it out of the park. Let's see, this hasn't even been 10, well, has it been 10 minutes? This is probably the shortest pre-conference that I've had because
Hmm.
you have, and it just goes to, it's a testament to the amount of detail and attention that you put into planning. So well done. I have no other questions. I look forward to the lesson and the evaluation that's going to take place on Tuesday. Where's my calendar? Hold on a second. On Tuesday, um, 2 o'clock p.m. And do I have? I'm sure we have. Did you send me an email regarding the post conference?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I don't
Hmm.
have it in my calendar, but just remind me. What did you request?
We had decided on the 21st of November. I think that's a
That
Friday,
Friday.
Friday, November 21st at 8:30.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I
Hmm.
just got to put it in my calendar book. Okay. So I look forward to seeing you on Tuesday. Enjoy the rest of your day and the weekend. And of course, if you have any questions before Tuesday, just reach out to me. Okay.
All righty. I did have a question. It's not about the lesson,
Okay.
but I was on the ELC, the Learning Cloud, and when I was submitting my timesheet yesterday, and
Uh-huh.
I got this note, like this little thing that popped up when I selected your name to send it to, and it said that like some setting was in there to where it won't send to you. So I was wondering if you've been receiving my.
Well, I don't. Supervisors are not to receive them. You send them to your
Okay.
mentor teacher, and she approves them.
Right.
Once she's approved, then I can see them.
Okay.
So
Yes, she's gone there and approved them. I just wonder if you've been able to see them because let me see if I can pull up the
last time I
message.
checked, I did, but let me look. Tavera or ELC is giving us so many issues. So look, and I was just in there, so let me see. Hold on, let me go back and just to make sure I can see them. Okay, just a second. It's taking so long to load. There you are. And okay, so I see the last one I see and can open is week 12.
Okay, that was this
Yeah,
week.
so
Okay, so you can see them.
yeah,
Okay,
I
so I'm
can
looking.
see them.
Okay, okay, awesome.
Let me
All
just
right.
yeah, everything is there. And so look, I'm encouraging candidates also that if there's any of these assignments that you have already completed, like for example, if you have completed the observation of teaching, if you have those done, I encourage you to go ahead and upload those so that at the end of the semester it'll be a quick process to
Yeah.
get checked out and on to your break. Okay.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Kymia. I enjoyed our time. It was a pleasure listening to you, and I look forward to next week.
All right. Thank you. See you next week.
Okay. All right. Bye bye.
Bye.